Shalom. All right. This is Brother Yuan with GMS South Carolina. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Kakadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth and sincerity. All right. May the blessing of election be upon your house. Today we're going to, dispel some of the notions that go on in Israel, specifically about the brotherhood. And to be honest, man, if the Lord has the spirit on a person to truly get the understanding, they'll be able to see through the BS anyway. You understand? But the first thing I want to talk about, I was watching Nathan Zakbah's video the other day, and whenever we rebuke people, people go to slander. They try to personally attack us. They try to attack our character as though that faults the word in some kind of way. And 100% of the time, the things they're saying aren't true. Okay? A guy on the comment board, Adam Natazakba, big brother Natazakba, was rebuking Sakari, obviously, and guy came on the comment board and said, all right, let's deal with the elephant in the room. At what age can a man deal with a woman? Now, the brother didn't dignify it with a response because he didn't have to. But what people try to take the fact that we address how things were going on in ancient Israel when we had our own kingdom, when things were done properly, right? When things were done, when I say this, it was still wicked jakes back then. But when we were going by the laws that were written, people will take the fact that we addressed that time and apply it to, is that how the brothers conduct themselves now? Back then in ancient Israel, man, when a woman came on her period, she was able to bear children. She would be married off from around that time, which probably would be 12. Now women have their periods far earlier because of the the stuff in the food. It's just, this place is wicked. But from that age, to early 20, woman was married off early, man. That's just how it was back then. And in the kingdom, women will be married off when they're able to bear children. That is the signifier that the Lord put in a woman to say, hey, she's ready to bear children. That's just what it is. But people like to get carnal. You know what I mean? They also like to bring up the I'm not gonna say the word, EPAR backwards. They like to bring up the fact that we go into the law and we get into the fact on how to deal with that. But I'm gonna address that. But I want to read a little bit of this article here I found on BibleOdyssey.org. All right, it reads: marriage in ancient Israel was very different from marriage today. Although there is a great deal we do not know about Israelite marriage, which is very plain. Sex is marriage. That was the consummation that they're one flesh. Biblical texts that speak about it tell us that many Israelite marriage customs were unlike those of modern Western societies. Yeah, today, man, everybody's dancing to this devil's tune. How he does things is completely contrary to how the word instructed us to. All right. First, although girls were expected to be virgins, when they got married, and according to Deuteronomy 22 and 21, let me get that out of there, could even be put to death if they were found not to be. Yeah, man, a woman was supposed to know one man her whole life, which obviously, again, in these times, we're not in that time, right? Men were allowed to marry multiple women, right? It is hard to know how common polygamy, which entailed a husband being married to more than one woman, really was in ancient Israel, which we're given those instructions. A man's duty to a woman, food, raiment, and duty of marriage. Actually, let me pull up the blue letter here, and we will go get it. Turn this down a little bit. Let's go to because I mentioned Exodus 21 and 10. So a man's duties to a woman, right? To his wife. And it's talking about if you take him another wife, right? Exodus 21:10. If you take him another wife, meaning in addition to the one that he has, this is law. Her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. Let's go look up the food, raiment, and duty of marriage. Let's go look it up. So gotta make this a little bit of raiment.
Strong's H 3682. Kesuth. Kesuth.
Change my microphone. All right, so we got trying to see if you guys can hear it. There we go.
3682. Kesuth. Kesuth.
Kesuth. So we look up raiment, covering, clothing. All right, clothing and shelter, right? And then we look up duty of marriage, just to be clear. Her duty of marriage. Ona.
Strong's H 5772. Ona. Ona.
All right, so we look up Ona, duty of marriage, cohabitation, conjugal rights, and looking after each other as you should. So those are the three things that a man's supposed to perform to his wife, and he couldn't diminish those things even though he took on another woman. All right. So yeah, those are the duties. Now I say this. Let's go back to the article. Jacob tried to bring up, the fact that things were done different back then, and try to allude to the fact that the men in Great Millstone they basically trying to say that we're pedophiles because we said, hey, these are the ages and this is how things were done back in ancient times. Now you know damn well that the brothers in our congregation don't partake in that kind of activity. Nor do our brothers want to partake in that kind of activity. But people use that to have an excuse according to their own will, and we'll go get that in Ecclesiasticus. Have an excuse according to their own will to not want to hearken unto the true understanding. Because the thing about Great Millstone here, what do we require, man? We require just how the Lord requires for you to change, for you to operate in a different fashion, for you to leave off your old ways. And what happens in these other camps is they allow people to still have that worldly twist with the it's in Ecclesiasticus 32:17. They allow people to still have that worldly twist. Let's go to King James. Just King James. And know they're Israelites, but still kind of conduct themselves in a worldly fashion. That's why you see them making the rap videos. You see them, they don't want to actually put on garments. They just get a baggy t-shirt and put some fringes on it. But here, just like the Lord requires us to change, we require those who are amongst us. Hey, man, you got to conduct yourself in a righteous fashion, man, so that the ministry be not blamed. We're not clung to carnality. You don't see us carrying weapons to camp, all those kind of things, man. That's not something that we were instructed to do. 17. But because they don't want to make that change, because they don't want to be held accountable, they turn to slander. All right. Ecclesiasticus 32:17. A sinful man will not be reproved, which we're supposed to rebuke each other. We're supposed to reprove each other if somebody's going off or they're doing something that's contrary to the instructions. It's written that we're supposed to rebuke them. Say, hey, man, you're going off. If you don't, your latter end is going to be death and destruction. Sin bringeth forth death. If you're going off, you're doing things contrary, that's going to be the end of it. Now, they turn to say, oh, this person is hating. they look at it like as though it's different from when we're on the highways and byways. We see somebody walking by there smoking, or they carry themselves in a disorderly way, and we rebuke them. We lift up our voice like a trumpet, like it says in Isaiah 58. We rebuke them. We're gonna rebuke people that know they're Israelites too, the same way. There's no respect of persons when it comes to this walk. So our people, they get in this mind frame of that, because we know we're Israelites, now we're all part of this little special club, and we're all just supposed to be nice to each other, regardless of what the person's doing. Supposed to be nice to them. No, man, the Lord don't get down like that. Everybody's held accountable. If somebody's going off, they get checked for it. Simple as that. And this isn't a free for all. Just because you're Israelites, everybody come together, kumbaya thing. Remember, the Lord doesn't deal with big numbers of people. He's not dealing with everybody. Talking about the same power that killed everybody during the flood and saved 8 people. Same power that saved Lot and his 2 daughters and destroyed 5 cities. The Lord isn't protecting or dealing with everybody just because they know they're an Israelite. There's a certain way that you have to walk. And that's why I always say there's a difference between knowing you're an Israelite and being one. Brother Kazak puts up Jeremiah 6:16. It says, "Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths." What are the old ways? How did our forefathers conduct themselves? What were the instructions that our Lord gave us to conduct ourselves? Right? And ask the old paths, where is the good way? And walk therein, and you shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. Our people don't want to walk in those ways. They want to establish something here, which is why they mimic the world. We're not supposed to resemble the world in any shape, form, or fashion. But because we dispel those things, because we're like, hey, that's off. We don't want to look like the world. Or we go at people and we say, hey, this isn't what the word says. This isn't what the Lord told us to do. You're going off. We're rebuking you. Oh, you hating. Y'all do it. That response, or the slander, because we're not out here slandering nobody. We ain't heard Great Millstone slander nobody. If somebody's doing something wrong, we call them out on what they're doing wrong, and we go into the precepts to bring out. We use the word to bring out, hey, this is how they're going on. Simple. But the slander for these other camps comes from a place of, it's not that they have a disdain for us. They have a disdain for the Most High because they really don't want to change their ways. They want to hold on to old habits. Malachi 3:6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, you sons of Jacob, be not consumed. He also puts up Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Going back to the fact that we don't want to resemble the world. We don't want to be partakers of what the end of this place is going to be, right? Arise and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted and shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction. So you got to come out of this place, mentally, and ultimately it's going to manifest physically too, because the Lord's going to take those who have been pursuing Him out of this place by way of the chariots. All right, and I wanted to read this as well. Proverbs 15:10. I had this in the tab, but you already put it up. The water. Proverbs 15 and correct. Okay. Eve out there burning something. Hold on. Hold on. All right, cool. Proverbs 15:10. Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way. All right. What way? The way of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. All right. And he that hateth reproof shall die. So we're telling people, hey man, you're doing something that's contrary to the instructions that we were given. You got people saying that, making it out to be that Yahushua is just a regular man. You you got camps that say John the Baptist wasn't in the truth. You got camps that say Jacob's trouble isn't a thing, that there is no mark of the beast, that it's an image, um, that it's okay to take the hokey poke. You got all these people going off. So when they get reproved, they hate it. They tell us we're hating when really they hate the ways of the Most High. It's really them that have that hatred because they don't want to change. They want to continue in their ways. They want to establish something on this side. You see, which is why they have so many gimmicks and they do all these things to bring all these wayward spirits in. Because there's a lot of people in these other congregations. They're just seasonal Israelites. They're there because something that's cool to do. They can be a part of something, but they don't understand the gravity of what we're involved in. All right. Let me read this one more time. 32:17. A sinful man will not be reproved, will find an excuse according to his will. Now, going back to this article, we touched on that topic. I want to also talk about, let's go to Deuteronomy 22. Because it's referenced in the article, but we talk about, some of these things that are tough things to talk about here in this society. That's not what I put in. Deuteronomy 22. Why does it keep spelled correct? Okay. They're trying to correct me. I already know what I want. Deuteronomy 22. We talk about things, and it's true, that are tough things to talk about in the world. Okay? So, dealing with rape. Rape is something that happens. Do we encourage brothers to rape? Do we encourage brothers to do something like that? Obviously not. It's something that happens in the world, though. So the Lord obviously is going to have instructions on how to deal with it when it happens. Now, how do they deal with it here in this society? Well, the man will go to jail. The woman, nowadays they have birth control, right? But before birth control, if a woman got raped in this society, what? They probably take the man to jail. The woman would have a child and the child would grow up without his father. Back then a man wouldn't want to deal with a woman that had children by another man already. So now you got this child that grows up fatherless. But the Lord has a better solution. So let's examine it. All right. So the fact that we even address that is something that happens and there's law on how to deal with it. People look at us like we're saying something crazy because they're in that worldly spirit about they don't want to talk or address things because they may be sensitive topics in the world. Yeah, but there's instructions on how to deal with it. All right, so this Deuteronomy 22 and 22. All right, it reads, if a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband. Now, if a woman already belongs to a man, we know what that is, right? That's adultery. When a man lays with a woman that already belongs to that already has a husband, that is adultery. Now, if it's a single man and a single woman and they're together, that's perfectly fine. Or even if it's a man that does have a wife, and he lays with a single woman, that's fine. There's no law against that. Okay. Deuteronomy 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, all right, and it phrased it that way on purpose. It didn't say if it's not you're not gonna find here if a single woman be found laying with a man that's married to a wife. You're not gonna find that because there's nothing wrong with that. Now, is that expedient in this time for a man just to be dealing with a bunch of women? No, because he's gonna bring stress on himself. So we wouldn't advise to do that. But hey, 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die. They got to be put to death. That evil has to be put out of Israel. Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman, so shalt thou put away evil from Israel. Continuing on. Now, it's different levels. There's different sections within this incident when it happens. 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, all right, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of the city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. Again, that's adultery. She's betrothed unto a husband. The damsel, because she cried not, because she didn't fight against it, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So shalt thou put away evil from among you. But what if the woman did cry out? Then what? What if she did fight against them? All right. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her, all right. I mean, in this instance, he actually physically forced her. In these other instances, it wasn't a force. They were just committing adultery. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die. He forced her. Okay, and she's already betrothed unto a husband. Okay, this is a woman that belongs to a man already. That man is he's the one looking over her. That's his property. He's still going to be taking care of her. You know what I mean? So that's that scenario. What happens when the woman is single and doesn't belong to a man yet, right? But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. She cried out, he forced her. There was no fault with that woman. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For as when a man riseth against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter. So it likens it, you know, unto a man committing murder against another man, just killing a man. There's no fault with the man that got killed. He didn't do anything. It wasn't this man came and forced himself on another. So it's liking it in the same fashion. Now 27, all right. For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. I mean, she couldn't defend herself. All right. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, a single woman, and lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's fathers 50 shekels of silver. So he didn't commit adultery, but he did defile a father's property, okay, which is his daughter. So he has to pay a fine for that. And there's other contingencies that go along with it, and we're about to read it. And she shall be his wife, meaning he can't put her away. She belongs to him now, and he has to perform husbandly duties. All right? Because he hath humbled her, he may not put her away all his days. So he has to be what he's supposed to be to that woman now. He forced himself on that woman. Now he has to take on a responsibility. All right, verse 30. A man shall not take his father's wife, nor discover his father's going on with that. But this section here, man, explains on how you deal with rape when it happens, adultery when it happens, because these are things that happen. Now in the kingdom, we're going to be perfect. The nation of Israel is going to be perfect, but the other nations, they're still going to be going through things like this, instances, things like this will happen, and there's going to have to be judgment calls on how to deal with it. So the Lord is giving us instructions on how to deal with it, because we're going to be governing the nations. All right. And, I've tried to explain, I hope, Lord willing, I was playing this, so that you can understand it. But when you read it, it's pretty plain, it makes sense. But people turn to slander because, they have something against the Lord's men. They really have something against the Most High, and they don't want to make that change that's required when you come into this thing. They'd rather hold on to gimmicks and still have, worldly habits and put an Israelite twist on it. All right. Brother made a statement here. I want to read it. I didn't get a chance to read it because I was ran out of the precept. But he said, where is it? Brother said that's the spirit making the smoke detector go off, warming all them wicked ass ninjas, warning all those wicked ass ninjas that Yahweh Shah is coming to do away with the wickedness. Yeah, man. It's really late in the game to be even dignifying this father with response, but in hopes that somebody's new come into this thing and they want it to be cleared up. I'm explaining it to you the best way I can. And I've done this lesson before. If you search it on my page, it's just probably on here. I'm not sure if that was the GMS Myrtle Beach page or this page. I'm not sure, but yeah, man. And you know what? This is my Yawan page. This is Brother Yawan page. I didn't even put it on my. I'll have to re-upload this to my main page later. But yeah, man, this is plain. you hear all this BS, that people try to throw at us, but it's just a part of the walk, and you really don't get dismayed at it. So they talk about this, they call us rough around the edges, they call us bums, but every brother I know in the congregation has a job. It's not like we make money um, bringing out this word. We don't have super chats on our YouTube videos where you guys are donating money and things like that. We're not selling shirts. We're not going on trips or we don't do that. So obviously the brothers have jobs. We have families. You understand? We're regular blue collar citizens, right? But we bring out the word. We're Clark Kent in the world, and we come and make our lessons on the highways, byways, and on the unicorn. And the Lord is using us. And there's nothing flashy or fancy about, how we go about things. But we go about things the way the Lord instructed us to. Plain and simple. No gimmicks. But majority of our people, 2/3, they're not gonna like that. Yeah, buy the truth and sell it not. Spot on. So yeah, man. With that being said, I'm gonna give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushua, Ba'Hashem Kakadash. I'm gonna give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and I'm gonna say shalom to all the brothers, and of course the few sisters who are pursuing this truth and sincerity, man. May the blessing of election be upon your house. All right, shalom. First and foremost, all praise to Yahweh Yahushua.
O children of Israel, you only have I known of all the families of the earth.